that effort that you've put in is not just responsible for the outcome that you're currently seeing. It's actually responsible for the outcome that you're going to see.
Your podcast should be your most powerful business development tool, a trust and authority builder, and your content creation engine. Let's help your podcast help your business with the StoryTrust.media podcast. Here's your host, John Gehring.
I'm going to read off to you some download numbers here that you might be interested in. A client of mine just got a client through his podcast and was telling me how much he's appreciating doing a podcast. But I'm just going to read off to you some numbers, okay? The first 7 episodes, download numbers. Ready? 4, 7, 11, 9, 13, 17, 12. Those were the downloads for his first 7 episodes. Yikes, right? According to Spotify, more than 90% of podcasts don't make it past 10 episodes. You wonder why? It's probably because of those numbers. This is a podcast that I now consider successful. It's got a couple hundred downloads. Helped him get a client right now. Recently, he just told me about it, and I'm really happy that the show is really starting to see some progress. But it took a while. And those first 7 episode download numbers, he didn't even get to 20 on any of them. And that's now after seeing some success later on. So some of those downloads might be from people who went back and binged the entire show. This is what I call the valley. And every podcast has a valley that's nobody's talking about. The most successful podcasts in the world had a valley that nobody's talking about. Their valley might not have been as low as a valley of this particular client he just started up. He didn't really have much a super large following online. Mel Robbins, she was already had some sort of audience before she launched her podcast. Okay, her valley's not quite as low, but there's still a valley. There's still ridiculously low numbers in the first 5 to 10 episodes. That's why people quit. That's why 90% of people quit by the time we're 10 episodes in. If you made it to episode 11, congratulations. You're starting to push your way past that valley, but you're still not there yet. The valley, as I'm defining it, that stretch of your first episodes where those numbers, they're pretty flat. It literally looks like a valley on your chart as you're looking at your podcast statistics, those download numbers. There's no reviews. Feels like your podcast just living on this like dark corner of the internet. Like, how can people find my show? How do I build momentum? And there are some strategies. This episode, though, isn't going to be talking specifically about those strategies. You could check out episode a couple weeks ago on that. But this episode's going to talk about getting you to that other side and what it takes to persist to the other side. Was listening to a story that Ed Mylett told, one of the biggest podcasts in the world, okay? And he was at a birthday party, one of his young children at the time. And he was watching these kids swing a bat at a pinata. First kid walks up, swings, hits it. No candy comes out, gets bored, gets impatient, walks away. Second kid gets up, she swings, hits it. Doesn't break, no candy comes out. What is this pinata thing? These adults are fooling us, right? She walks away. She gets bored of it. Third kid walks up, hits it. Same thing. All right, so the 7th kid, according to his story, little 4-year-old kid, walks up there, smallest kid who hasn't even, gotten the chance to swing yet because he's so young and, he's kind of in the back. I was that kid when I was smaller than everybody, like, not looking like the kid who's going to break the pinata. Walks up, first swing, breaks the pinata. All the candy flies everywhere, kids come running. The question that Ed asked was so profound to me, and it actually relates to podcasting, okay? The question is, who broke the pinata? Was it that last boy? Was it the first 6 kids before him? It was a combination of all of that. So let me ask you, first 7 episodes, 4, 7, 12, 16, 11. those are the downloads you get. And you usually have that one episode. If you're a more seasoned podcaster, what I'm talking about, that one episode, it's like, ooh, 235. Now we're talking. Which episode broke the pinata? Well, the episode was 235 downloads, right? And I'd encourage you to question that thinking. You see, this is how algorithms work. This is how people's listening habits in general work. When they see that a podcast is new, they don't inherently trust it as much. There's not as much momentum build up. There's probably no reviews or very few reviews. The algorithm deprioritizes it because it's new. You see, that valley, that's not a sign that your podcast isn't working. It's a sign that your podcast hasn't matured yet. You haven't gotten through it yet. That's inevitable, no matter what your valley looks like. If it's as low of a valley as my clients, who's literally in the single digits of downloads, which is like hard to do, it feels like, or you're in a valley that's, only a couple hundred versus the several thousand that you have now, it's still a valley. And the ones who break through it don't always even have to be the most talented ones. The little 4-year-old wasn't the biggest. It wasn't the kid who looked like he was going to break the pinata. But he's the one who broke it. You'd say the straw that broke the camel's back, right? The podcasters who persist are the ones who break through. And sometimes the episode that breaks through isn't what you expect. Like, I didn't think that was not even, by far, that wasn't my strongest episode. And last week, I talked about the difference between having a quality episode versus having the reach that you want and being able to spread your podcast out far and wide. See, good episodes don't automatically result in the numbers. Your best episode isn't necessarily your highest watched or listened to episode, unfortunately, right? I love this point too that James Clear makes. Book Atomic Habits will change your life if you haven't yet read it. He talks about the plateau of latent potential. Okay, results are always delayed from the effort of building them, right? And he talks about, getting 1% better every day and, systemizing before you optimize, putting those podcast episodes in place before you can make them better and promote them more and find the right ways to improve upon them and expand your reach. But that's not going to happen without getting through the plateau, the valley, that early time where you're putting in all the work, but the results from that work haven't come yet. All right. So I want you to reconsider if you're thinking after 2 months of podcasting, my ROI isn't there. I've spent, a few $1,000s and 20 hours of my time doing this podcast, and I've gotten 0 clients. I've gotten 100 downloads, maybe a couple hundred views on YouTube. Where is the ROI there? Well, that effort that you've put in is not just responsible for the outcome that you're currently seeing. It's actually responsible for the outcome that you're going to see. Those swings of the pinata weren't directly responsible for the 0 outcome that was produced with the pinata not breaking. But collectively, they were all responsible for eventually that pinata squirting that candy all over the place and kids running everywhere. Who broke the pinata? What episode actually caused you to break through? Or was it all of them? So what can help you to keep going when you feel like quitting? Well, most podcasters who do break through this valley, as I like to call it, they share one trait. They care more about the mission of their show than the numbers. They care more about what their show is doing for them as a content creator, the repurposing they're getting out of it, the trust that they're building with their niche that they've developed, than reaching 1,000, 1,000,000, 10 million people. Right? So if you keep that focus early on, and then also know that the work you're putting in today is not just responsible for the results you're seeing today, but the responsible partially for the results that you're going to continue to see months down the road. That's what's going to get you to the other side of that valley. And if you want to get there faster, check out the episode I did a couple weeks ago on expanding your reach, some of the ways that you can do that. Because remember, quality content doesn't directly lead to content that gets viewed a lot. Two very different strategies. I hope that helped you. And I hope that analogy was something to think about if you're especially considering quitting on your show and, allowing your podcast to sunset, thinking it didn't do what I wanted it to do. It's just not producing the ROI. Good things take time. And the more you do it, the more the time is on your side. So I encourage you to keep going and refining, seeing what works, but not getting discouraged because you're almost through that valley. You just got to keep moving and you will break through. That pinata will break for you.
Thanks for checking out the Story Trust Media podcast. Learn more about what Story Trust Media can do for your business and book a free consultation at storytrust.media.